Hi, this is Dan for Tech Digest and Shiny Shiny, and I'm here today looking at the LG-KC780. Very unmemorable. It's no surprise they haven't given it a name though, but we'll get to that in a minute. They describe it as a slim 8 megapixel camera phone, and well, I'd agree with it on parts there. You know, there's no lies, it certainly is an 8 megapixel camera phone. Slim? I'm not so sure. 13.9mm. It doesn't really feel slim. I would never give it the kind of complex of accusing it of being fat, but it doesn't feel slim either. It definitely feels on the, I wouldn't even say chunky, but clunky side. In fact, Duncan described it as looking a bit like my first phone, that kind of thing. It's just a little bit basic. It's not gonna, you know, get many oohs and ahs when you bring it out of your pocket. But then, you know, it's not a flagship model, so it's, you know, I can live with that. What you do get is a slider phone with a 2.4-inch QVGA screen, which is actually quite a reasonable screen for a sort of mid-range phone like this. The slider's quite acceptable, nice action on it. It makes noises like it's a Nintendo phone or something when you open it and close. I'm sure you can turn that off if you like, but that's a problem I have with this phone. The LG OS does annoy me a little bit. I'm sure if I'd used LGs all my life it wouldn't bug me too much, but if you haven't used an LG before, then do bear in mind. It's a little different to a lot of others, and I find myself deleting a lot of text messages and doing all sorts of things I don't mean to do while using it, but that's kind of a preference thing. It plays MP3s as you'd expect. It's got Bluetooth. You can actually use this as a Bluetooth webcam, which is actually quite a good feature, which I haven't really seen in other things. Not that I really would ever use it as a Bluetooth webcam, but it's there if you want to use it. It's got no Wi-Fi and no 3G, and therefore it does separate it from the LG Renoir that came out at the same time, which is the other 8 megapixel camera phone. Now the Renoir, of course, is the touch screen sort of top of the range type model. So obviously this one isn't quite so up there, and hence probably why it doesn't have a proper name and has to stick with a bunch of numbers. Obviously the big thing about it is it's a fairly affordable 8 megapixel camera phone, and the camera itself is reasonably good. 8 megapixels, it's got a flash, it's got the, well, LG are using a lot at the moment, the Schneider Krushnap optics. I don't know if anyone can send me an audio file of how to pronounce that properly, but I'd be very grateful. But decent optics, you've got a good lens on it, it does do justice to the 8 megapixels on the side, which is pretty good. You get face detection, smile detection, it's got an ISO, goes up to 1600, which is actually quite impressive for a camera phone. That said, I find it slightly sluggish to use. The autofocus doesn't catch all the time. Shots just don't come out as well as on even a lot more basic camera phones. I didn't enjoy using this for pictures, like something like the Nokia N95 for example. It's only a 5 megapixel camera phone, but it's something a bit tighter about it. It just works better. Actually, one thing I do want to show you, I have to get up nice and close, is quite a good example of how effective the 8 megapixels are. I'll show you that in a second.
So it makes little noises when it turns on like that, and it does look a bit, I mean, I'm not really sure who this is for with its coloured numbers like that. But what I would like to show you is how effective the 8 megapixel camera phone is. Now if you look at an image, that I took of Zara there, notice she's caught slightly between expressions. Now if we zoom in, herein lies the sluggishness. If we zoom in, there's Zara, caught between the expression there. If you notice over there, it's me. Hello me. Oh. Still pretty good detail. And if you pan round the room onto the wall up there, and we zoom in even further, you can really see that shiny media sign embroidered onto the wall very, very clearly. And that is all from a photo taken back there.
What I will say about this is that the other thing is it's expandable up to 8 gigabytes of memory, not megabytes, gigabytes of memory. So they say, but I've actually got a 16 gig card in here and it's working very nicely, so don't worry about that. You can take your 8 megapixel shots and store them. I suppose what you really want to know after this is how much is this? Well, Without a contract, you're looking at £260. With a contract, I haven't seen any out there with a contract, but I'm sure it's a very reasonable price. So there you go, the LG-KC780, a mid-range phone with fairly mid-range performance, mid-range price, and not really something I'd necessarily recommend. Sorry.